Stephen King's Salem's Lot.
Ooh.
Salem's Lot. We initially saw this as
a movie.
Yeah, they cut it down to like a 106-minute movie. This VHS, still have it. La 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 la. Look at that. Warner Brothers VHS. Lovely. VHS collectors, anyone want to buy this? Let me know.
No, we're not selling that.
We'll start a bidding war.
The movie I remember as a youngster scared the living crap out of me. I was scared for weeks. There's a scene in the movie. Well, okay, let's start from the beginning.
It's a series. It was released as a series.
Yes.
But we got to see it rented in the video store as cut down to a movie length.
Yes.
But the other day we scrolled through Tubi. Salem's Lot, the 300 and something minute version.
Yes.
So it's the full series stuck together as one.
And although it obviously dated, but it was still enjoyable to watch.
It's directed by Tobe Hooper.
Yes.
From Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. Which is quite interesting that I don't know how much he did in between, not much. So yeah, that was quite a leap to go into a Stephen King, and that was one of the early. I mean, Stephen King before this it was CARRIE, and then just after this was The Shining.
That's right.
So it's like the genesis of Stephen King's books being turned into movies and series.
I read the book as a teen, and I read it again I think 2 years ago. I would recommend if you are going to read the book first before you watch the movie. First read the short stories. There's a story in this one called Jerusalem's Lot. Jerusalem's Lot. It's a short story. It's set in the 1850s.
Obviously the beginnings of that town.
It is the sort of the prequel to this. And then you read Salem's Lot.
Is it a new? I forget now if it's a new movie or a new series. I think it's a new series that they're now doing on Salem's Lot.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
It basically is the same old. It sounds terrible not saying the same old tropes that he uses, but it's a writer returning to his little town of where he grew up.
Stephen King, a writer, obviously.
And he actually goes there to get inspiration for a book that he's working on. But when he gets there, he senses something is like there's something very wrong in the town. It's very much set around an old house, and that now ties in with the short story.
And it's a house he remembers from being a kid.
Yes, he remembers
strange stuff happened
this house
there.
from a kid. They went in there as children, you know, like children check out things that they think are haunted, and it's like it's a big jaw and everything. And then he sees something in this house as a child that he can never forget in his entire life. It scared him so much. And he basically returns to the town, and he's in a boarding house, which today would be something like an Airbnb. And he meets this young girl. I think she's like a bank teller or something. I could be wrong. Anyways, and there's a romantic link, but it all centers around the house, and then the antique dealer.
And David Soul plays the lead role.
Yes.
From Starsky and Hutch.
And he's great.
And is it Bonnie Bedelia, the girl? She was John McClane's wife.
That's right.
In Die Hard.
In Die Hard, it's very young, a very young.
And James Mason plays the antique dealer.
Now, the antique dealer is the person that creates this ominous vibe in the little town, and he buys this house and he moves into this house. And the writer, he doesn't understand how, why is this guy in this house? Why is he buying this house? He's bought this antique store, and he's doing it on the behalf of this benefactor who never shows up. You never see him. He's never around. There's always a story like he's still in London and he's buying stuff for the store and he's coming and blah, blah, blah. And then there's also 3 boys. 2 of them sort of go through the woods the one night as a shortcut to get home, and then only one one comes out and the other one just disappears.
And one stalls, so that goes ahead and then...
Yes, yes. And this brings us to the scene that I had sleepless nights about this. This is where you realize that this thing is about a vampire. Because at night, this little boy that went missing comes to the friend's window in this mist,
fog.
And he's
like floating.
Yeah, and he's like...
He's got like glassy eyes.
Yeah, he's dead.
Creepy little creep.
Creepy little creep. And he knocks on the window and he wants to be let in. And that scene... Oh, I just remembered that scene. I had to... When I saw it again now, I think I finally got over it. But
no, as a kid,
it scared me.
If you're a kid, you know, it's like the thing under the bed or the thing in the closet or something outside the window. So it's a classic.
Tragically, at that time in my life, my mom's friend lost her teenage daughter. I'd only met her once or twice. It was a bicycle accident, and very sad. And I think I've always been half crazy, but I was so scared that this girl was going to show up at my window. And I mean no disrespect, but that was like literally the fear that I had, because it was the only person at that stage that I had known that was young and that had passed under very tragic circumstances. Also, it was a horrible accident. And I experienced the grief through my mom, who was friends with her mom, and it was just it was a terrible time, and I saw the movie at that time. So that was my only sort of reference.
So you must have seen it in like mid-80s. When did you see it?
Yeah, it was probably like mid-80s, yeah. And so the movie had a huge impact on me, and then eventually I read the book. When I started reading Stephen King, I saw the movie before I read the book.
And another thing where things now start getting more strange is is it the graveyard guy that has to go pick up this box, or no questions asked, but they must have picked this box up and deliver it.
Strict guidelines how to deliver it.
With these locks on the door.
Yes.
And then they obviously stuff it up.
Yes, they get scared. And you have to, that's what I'm saying, it's so much more interesting if you read the short story, which was obviously the origin in Stephen King's head.
Did he write that short story after the novel?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know if there's a way to see. The short story, yeah, we've just looked at the dates in the book. The short story might have come after the original.
So it's like a prequel.
It's like a little prequel. But it does give you a lot of history and insight into the house and the things that happen there. Salem's Lot is not your typical vampire flick movie. It's a different take on it.
Series.
Series. It's a different take on it, and I think if you've got the backstory, it just makes it so much more interesting.
Also, because it's Stephen King's take on it.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like this. It's in somewhere in Maine.
In
area,
Maine, yes,
so,
yeah.
You know, it's got that whole vibe.
Yeah, and I mean Salem is notorious for. I mean, everyone knows the name, the Salem witch trials. So it's already an area that is sort of it's very mysterious, and there's a lot of mystique around the area already. But the movie has aged.
Yeah,
yes.
Some of the characters they sort of played very like naturalistically and straightforward. Although James Mason is all dramatic
very thespian.
and James Masony. But the rest of the characters, they're sort of more natural, and some of them are like intense. Like
the children are good. I remember the kids being very good.
Yeah. And we mentioned in another review the Jeep's door. David Souls gives out, and the door never doesn't want to close properly.
The door never closes properly.
So I don't think you just see the guy bang, you know, but it doesn't.
They left it in.
It doesn't get addressed. It's cool. So it's like
it's got a cool thing about it. It's got a nice little cool vibe about it.
And I guess the cover, the poster of the movie is sort of, you know, you kind of see what's what, and you've seen it in trailers and bits, but the main vampire is definitely very much taken from Nosferatu.
Max Schreck, very much like Max Schreck made him.
Kind of little centered teeth and the bald hair.
So it's not your typical like seductive, attractive vampire. It's what a vampire should be depicted as.
He's like a creature.
It's a sick creature.
Doesn't speak. He's just creature.
He's just
But yeah, we don't want to. It's not like we're not giving away much.
No.
But also, I mean, Tobe Hooper, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was intense, gritty, and has become an ultimate classic. And it was interesting for him to go from that to this, and he didn't do a bad job. Whereas that first episode of A Nightmare on Elm Street, the Freddy's Nightmares series, that was terrible. You think Tobe Hooper made this? It's like they shot it in a weekend with $10.
They probably did though.
That's a pity. But yeah, let's not jump to Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's a waste of Robert Englund, is what it is.
But then Tobe Hooper went on a couple of years later, did Poltergeist,
which was brilliant.
Excellent.
Absolutely brilliant.
So he's kind of went, but after that, I don't know if I really. Funhouse was cool.
Tobe Hooper's passed, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go check out Mick Garris, his post-mortem podcast. He did, I think, a couple of interviews with Tobe Hooper.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch.
Mick Garris, the podcasts are brilliant. He's got some if you're into the horror genre, he's got some fabulous guests on there.
And some old clips that they did in the early 80s, like interviews with, it was David Cronenberg, John Carpenter.
Oh, brilliant, yes.
And John Landis.
John Landis, yes.
All three of them sitting there. And that was the time of Videodrome, The Thing, and frickin' American Werewolf in London.
Yes. Epic. Yes.
Excellent.
But I would, as always, I would recommend you read, in this case, you read the short story first. The short stories are called Night Shift. And then you read Salem's Lot, and then you watch. Try and find the...
It's going to be interesting what they do with the new version.
Yes.
Yeah, watch the full version. Don't watch
the full.
The cut down, the movie version.
I've realized actually how little sense the movie made.
Yeah, because there was like the end, very, very ending. I couldn't remember if any of that was in the movie cut.
No.
That scene.
Yes.
So...
And even though it's dated, it's still enjoyable to watch. Yeah, I can recommend it. What would you score it?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to score it very. I'll probably give it a 6.
The story, the book. If I just want to say, I would give the story 8 out of 10. I have to agree with Paul in terms of the way that it's dated. I would have to give it a 6.
But you know what? It might have scored higher if we watched the movie version again.
Yeah, maybe.
It might be, because it might just feel padded with extra stuff that's not necessary.
No. I think it's better to watch the series than the movie. Definitely, without a doubt.
It doesn't feel like anything needs to be removed for a movie length. So I'm interested to actually go rewatch the movie version to see what they actually took out.
I'm actually hoping that if they do a remake of it, that they include the short story, the 1850s.
You know what? I mean,
story.
Like I say, there's just so much news, and I don't like to read much until I see something. But
exactly.
I think is it the Chapelwaithe, the new?
Yes.
That's based on Jerusalem's Lot.
And that's the house.
Yes.
That's the house.
There's a series that's now done.
Yes.
That is based on Jerusalem's Lot.
Yes.
So I guess maybe they did it like that. So now you watch that, and then you watch.
Chapelwaithe is the house that.
Yeah.
Charles goes and lives in,
because that series is based on the short story.
Yes, and the short story takes the form, literally, the whole short story takes the form of letters that Charles writes to Mr. Bones, and the to and fro communications, and then...
I was going to make a Leon Schuster joke there.
No, don't.
But that's a South African thing, so if you're not from South Africa, Mr. Bones and Leon Schuster...
You're not going to get it.
Don't worry.